uh, Hello and welcome. This is the officials players meeting for the 2022 Norse Gods Championship. My name is Eric Hess. I am the TD. Alongside me is...
Kayla Hess, assistant TD / course pro.
Yeah, you're a pro. Imagine that.
The only thing I'll ever be pro at.
So before we get started, Kayla's going to tell you about our sponsors who help make this whole event possible. We have a pretty sick players pack for this, and that was like our goal and will always be our goal in the Norse Gods Championship. So why don't you tell us who helped us get there?
Yeah, we want to try and give as much back to the players as possible, give them full value for their money. I mean, I think all the things that we're giving is definitely worth the buy-in, and I would be super stoked if I saw this at another event. We were able to raise $1,000 added cash or close to it for the pro field, so that could not have been done without these sponsors. Sponsors obviously included our presenting sponsor, Central PA Disc Golf. They helped out a ton. Their website, you can go look at all their discs, www.centralpadiscgolf.com. They also have a store in Hanover, which you should definitely go check that out. Carbella Designs, they make disc golf bags catered towards women, but can really be used for anyone. I've given some away at my women's events, and just even talking with them, they've been super nice, and definitely want to grow the sport. Tono Group, which maybe...
Yeah, so they, an architectural group, they designed the space where Luca is in Lancaster. It's pretty amazing. They do a great job, great work. The owner or CEO of the company, Hunter Johnson, he does a great job. He's a disc golfer, has played in my tournaments before. He's pretty passionate about the community and being a part of the community. And maybe because he's the one building some of the amazing buildings that all of the renovation in Lancaster is in, it's kind of like a silent thing, but we really do appreciate their help and support. So,
other sponsors include Hemfield Botanicals. If any of you played the Norse Gods Championship last year, you probably saw they had a stand or tent set up around hole 1. They do a lot of CBD products and all that stuff, and they're very supportive of our events and disc golf in general. Also like to thank Heiser Flip Disc Golf. We that's where the dry fit shirts from the players packs are from. We'll also have some koozies from them, and overall just really nice and glad to have their support.
Reflection Technologies, if I'm being completely honest, I don't know who they are. But they did sponsor us, and we do really appreciate that. So thank you very much. Decades Lancaster as well, which is where I work. They're providing the space for us. They're also providing lunches for those who have paid for them. So thank you to Decades. Yeah. And then there's also some whole sponsors we'd like to mention real quick too.
The Longneckers were, they sponsored a hole in honor of Nathan Longnecker. Also had Brett Bailey, Christian Wells, Chris Blyler.
You just say it and don't think.
And Jamie Lepley. So Thank you to all of them.
Thanks, Jamie. All right. So those are the sponsors for the tournament. We really do appreciate it. What time can they check in tomorrow?
Check-in is from 4 to 9 p.m. At Decades Lancaster in Lancaster City. You'll get your players pack there, and this means that you do not have to check in Saturday or Sunday at the course. There will be scoreboards set up and a quote, tournament central, but you do not need to officially check in with anybody Saturday or Sunday.
So when you get to decades, you're going to come in and you're going to want to go to the right. You'll see Kayla will be there. There'll be some discs out on the table. Kayla has taken all the player packs items and she's put them into a bag for everybody. The player pack items that are all the same. And so you'll get one of those bags and you'll be able to then pick which Discraft disc and which trilogy disc you'd like. There will also be some free tokens to go play the games if you want as well. You're more than welcome to come. You do need to check in with Kayla to let her know that you're there and you're checked in. And if you want to leave, go ahead. My hope is that some people stay and hang out and enjoy the games and interact with each other, but you're certainly not required to do that. Also, people that have ordered hoodies at registration, hopefully they will be there at this time. They're in the mail, and they should be there by 7 p.m. If you happen to check in and leave before the hoodies are there, I will make sure you get it on the course. And when we say tomorrow, tomorrow is May 13th, Friday, 2022, just so everybody knows.
Also included, you will get your Players Pack shirt. You'll get whatever size you selected when registering, and that will be given to you, whichever size that is. So I'm not sure.
What's up?
If the sizes are run small or big, but whatever size you picked during registration, that is the size you will get.
Yeah, so part of the problem, I think, last year with ordering shirts for people was it was difficult to get a gauge on what shirts people wanted. So I tried to give you guys an opportunity to order them what size you wanted yourself. So there is a size for you that you exactly asked for. So if you get there and you want a large, but you said you wanted a medium, I probably don't have a large for you. So tell Kayla what size you ordered, and that's what she's going to give you. All right, so I do want to kind of just go over a couple rules changes that happened. This might be the first tournament for some people, probably not. And when I say first tournament, I mean first tournament this year. If you go OB, and it could happen at Buckmiller, when you give yourself relief, you can take 1 meter in from out of bounds. But before you had to go perpendicular to where you went out of bounds. Now it's kind of like a semicircle. From the spot where you went out of bounds, you can give yourself 1 meter relief, kind of like in a circle, or 1 meter in any direction from where the out of bounds, where you went out of bounds. It doesn't necessarily have to be perpendicular to the out of bounds. However, if your disc is right by out of bounds, but didn't go out of bounds, you can still give yourself a meter relief, but you can't give yourself that semicircle meter relief. So if the disc never went out of bounds, it's still perpendicular relief. However, if it went out of bounds, then you get like semicircle meter relief. Not too many other changes I think that are significant or of note. If somebody on your card asks you for a bathroom break, you are supposed to give them a bathroom break and give them a reasonable amount of time to go to the bathroom. There are porta potties at both of the tournament locations. So if there's an emergency, you can wait to the hole by the porta potty, but if somebody can't, I expect you to give them a reasonable amount of time to use the bathroom. Okay, let's talk about the Buckmiller layout. It's pretty standard. It's a park course. I think some things that I know from playing the course is, number one, you're never going to be throwing over a paved road. You shouldn't be. And if your disc goes over or onto a paved road and to the other side, it's probably OB. The only way it wouldn't be OB is if it came back in. But if it crosses a road, it's out of bounds. Hole 13, there's Mando. There's a telephone pole. This is going to be if you're playing the short or the long location or alternate location. We've also set up a mandatory on hole 3, which is only going to be for the alternate location. The caddy guide says that hole 3 is going to play for the alternate 268, and it doesn't necessarily give you a direction. I made the decision that hole 3 alternate is going to play to 7's regular basket. If you're not familiar with Buckmiller, hole 3 is going to go right behind it where the normal basket is where hole 7's basket is. So basically, I don't know, maybe another 50 feet past the basket is where the next basket is. And that's what you're going to play as the alternate. I will make sure to have this marked on the hole when you come up to it. But I bring this up because there's going to also be a mando. Because we don't want people hitting... there's going to be some people teeing off on 4's tee pad, and we don't want anybody hitting the people teeing off on 4's tee pad. So we're going to put a mando on one of the trees up there. And it's only going to be in effect when you're playing to the alternate. And again, the alternate on hole 3 is going to be 7's regular basket. There are 4 other holes that don't have the normal alternate baskets. For the most part, the tee signs are good, and you can follow them, I think, on the course for the most part. But 4 of the holes don't have alternates, so we've placed alternates in there ourselves. With the exception of hole 3, which I just mentioned, the other 4 are going to be the same as what the Norse Gods Championship was last year. So that takes care of like 60% of you. The other 40% who didn't play the Norse Gods Championship last year, shame on you. Hole 1 is going to be a little bit longer than the normal pin. So if you're looking at the tee sign, basically I would say it is going to be probably 30 feet past the normal one and back into the left. As you get to hole 5, the alternate pin is going to be basically to the right and tucked into the trees. So 5 is pretty simple. When you get to 5, you can see the pin right in front of you. The alternate will be tucked in into the right. Number 8, you're going down the hill and the normal pin is by the road. The alternate's going to be to the left of that. It's close to the parking lot. I couldn't put it anywhere over to the right, or else we'd have to cross a road, and I didn't want to do that. So the alternate for 8 is going to be to the left of the normal one, probably about 100 feet to the left of it. Hole 12 is normally a hyzer for a right-hand backhand, right to left shot, just a little chipper. It's not very far. And I kind of created the opposite shot by putting the pin down into the right. So instead of the pin normally on 12 is down into the left, it's going to be down into the right for the alternate. Those are the alternates at Buckmiller. And that's all I think I have. Is there anything else you want to say about Buckmiller as far as the layout goes?
No. I mean, I think you pretty much covered everything. Yeah. No throwing across roads. I feel like at Buckmiller, more so than Shiprock, there shouldn't be too much trouble with this. But, I mean, as far as OB goes, if you really have to stand there and debate over it for that long, benefit goes to the player. I do feel like that comes into play more so at Shiprock, but both courses, if it's not a somewhat quick decision, benefit goes to the player.
Yeah, that's well said. I think, for me personally, if I have to come down and have a ruling on something that you guys have all been debating for like 10 minutes, I'm going to say it's safe, just to be clear. Because I think if you have to think about it for more than 10 seconds or 20 seconds, then it's inbounds. You know, we're going to give the benefit to the player if we are not sure. And if you have to think about it and debate, the benefit goes to the player. We're not here to try and screw people over, okay? So benefit goes to the player for the most part. That's a really good point. As far as Shiprock goes, so we all play Shiprock quite a bit, and maybe we take advantage of some things. I will say the one good thing of knowing some things. I will say the one nice thing about Shiprock is the T signs are very accurate. They're going to tell you where the OB is, where the pins are. You shouldn't, you know, nothing is out of the ordinary at Shiprock compared to how it's normally played. There is a Mando for the A pool on hole 1. But that Mando that you see is not in effect if you're in the B pool and you're playing to the silver on hole 1. Other things we like to think about at Shiprock, Llama's Cliff, which is hole number 11. It's a little chipper, man. This hole's tough. But there is a roped area on the hill where it's casual relief. We don't want people trying to putt in from there. So we have a drop zone that is marked with 2 flags that are crossed down by the water. And if your disc lands in the casual, you don't have a choice. You go to the drop zone and the casual relief, and which is also the drop zone as well. And that's where you throw your disc from. So it being a drop zone, if your disc goes long and out of bounds there, it's really hard a lot of times to see where your disc went out of bounds. And this is why there is no, your disc isn't going to go to where it went out of bounds on Llama's Cliff off your drive or any shot. If it goes out of bounds long, it's going to go to the drop zone. And that's where you're going to throw. And also, if it's on the hill there in the casual relief, you're going to go to the drop zone and you're going to throw, and you're not going to be penalized an extra stroke. The OB penalty is only if you're going long in the water. If you're in the casual relief on the hill, you still go to the drop zone, but no added stroke. If you're just outside the casual relief, you can give yourself a meter relief in perpendicular to the casual relief. It's a wonky little rule. But if your disc happens to get down at the very bottom of it, you know, you're only like 10 feet away from the pin. You are allowed to take 1 meter towards the pin to give yourself better footing from the casual relief. It's something wonky, doesn't really come up, but if it does, treat the casual relief, if you're just outside of it, treat it like you would normal OB. What else comes up there? So you're going to follow along the creek there for quite a bit. And this is flagged. I would say it's a big, long creek. It's not all exactly flagged all the time, completely perfectly. But it is for the most part. And these are where cards can make their calls. And I trust the card to do the right thing. If I have to step in or one of the other TDs has to step in, we can make a call. But what concerns me is you get 2 meters relief there from the out of bounds along the creek, okay? Because we don't want anybody throwing from the side of the hill or the bank of this creek. And that's my biggest concern. So, listen, I want everybody to follow the rules, but I certainly, in instances where you're going out of bounds there on the creek, let's make sure nobody's throwing on the side of a cliff or a side of a hill. They're already being penalized for going out of bounds. I'm not trying to penalize somebody a second time by making them throw through trees and on a cliff. There are a couple spots on the course where there is barbed wire fences. And if your disc happens to be there, it may still be in bounds, it may not be. But if you're throwing from there, you get 2 meters relief from any barbed wire fence. This is in play basically on holes 7, 15, 16, and 17 for the most part, is where I know of there being barbed wire on this course. There's also plenty of groundhog holes or just holes in the ground there. You're in the country, so be careful and pay attention to where you're walking. Anything else I missed at Shiprock?
I think you pretty much covered it all. Same thing I said with Buckmiller. OB, don't think too much about it. It should be a relatively quick decision.
Talk about the cornfields.
I was going to say, that was going to be my next thing. I do want to clarify. I mean, I know how this is how I've done in the past. I just want to clarify that this is how it's going to be again. Your disc, to be out of bounds in the cornfield is OB always.
Correct. If you're in the cornfield and you're throwing your disc, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. Your disc has to be completely past the first row of corn to be OB.
I think that's the best way to do it, because so what ends up happening is there's lots of uncertainty because the ground, the grass, the corn, it doesn't all grow in the same perfect unity that we'd like to think that it does. So how do you decide exactly where and when a disc is out of bounds? There's going to be the first row that is clearly a row of corn, or a clearly, because I don't know that they actually had corn there the last time. But if you're in a field where they're growing a crop, the first row where they're clearly growing some sort of crop or corn, that first row, your disc has to be completely past that in order to be considered out of bounds, okay?
Okay.
So move on to the next?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Okay, so players are checking in on Friday night, right? And then they're not checking in at the tournament locations. For those teeing off at Buckmiller, you're going to have a tee time, which is on pdga.com. And for those people teeing off at Shiprock, you're going to tee off at 9 o'clock. There will be a horn. There will be 2 short blasts for 2 minutes. Kayla or Brian Bockington, one of the two of them, will blow the horn at Shiprock. And then at 9 o'clock, there will be 1 long, loud blast for start. And when that 2-minute horn goes off, you're not allowed to throw any more discs. You have to basically almost kind of prepare like the tournament has started. It's possible because of this format that somebody is late or won't be there in time. And there won't be a TD there taking them out or putting them into a different card or whatever. So if somebody on your card is not there and not on time when that start goes, you give them 30 seconds like you would for a normal shot. And if they don't show up, then you don't have to wait that 30 seconds each time it would be their turn or whatever on every hole. But you would give them par +4 for the hole. And you do it for the whole round, for the first round. And then if they don't show up for the first round, you can tell Brian Bockington at Shiprock or Kayla Hess at Shiprock, and they'll take them out so that we won't put them in for the second round. But if you start at Shiprock and somebody doesn't show up, put par +4 for them in.
Yes. And same goes for Sunday. If someone were to not show up Sunday and they were there Saturday or whatever, same situation goes. It'll depend on what course you're at. Brian Bockington will be at Shiprock both days. Bill Guy will be at Buckmiller. I guess it would only really, I don't know. But anyway, it goes for both rounds. If someone doesn't show up when they're supposed to be there, par +4.
Yes.
So you can tell an official.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. Inclement weather. So, if it's possible that there might be some really torrential rains, there could be thunder, lightning, this stuff. I'm going to leave that up to the discretion of Brian at Shiprock and Bill Geibel at Buckmiller. And if they think the weather becomes so bad that you guys can't play, they're going to blow an air horn 3 times, 3 quick bursts. They'll wait a minute and they'll blow it again. If you hear that noise, mark your lie. Ideally, I would do it with a mini, but you're not required to mark your lie when there's a stoppage of play because of inclement weather with a mini. They say a rock is perfectly acceptable too. I mean, the thing is when the inclement weather stops, which it has to at least be a minimum of 30 minutes if they stop it. But if you are stopped, look around, see where you're at. And when you come back, the card, if it wasn't marked by a mini, which is what I recommend, but it doesn't have to be. And if it's not, the card will decide, hey, this is where you were, right? So if there's a rock or whatever around, put it down there if you don't want to use them any. And the card will decide together as a group where the lie was, to the best of their knowledge. If you're at Buckmiller, I recommend going to one of the 2 pavilions. There's a pavilion by hole 9. And then there's like the main pavilion where Bill does leagues all the time. I think they're 31 and 29, but not 100% sure. But you'll see. Basically, where 18 finishes is the one pavilion, and where 9 starts is the other pavilion. I would try and take shelter there if you can. If you're at Shiprock, good luck. Take shelter in your car. Or you could take shelter under, I'm sure Brian will have a tent there. There will be other sponsors that will be selling some stuff at both locations. But yeah, you're going to have 30 minutes at least if that horn is blown 3 times. And then when you get back to your start, anyway, if you're ever not sure of anything, if you're not sure when the round's going to start, if you're not sure about, go to Tournament Central, go to where Brian is, go to where Bill Geibel is, ask questions, and they will tell you the answers. Don't assume. This is one of the biggest things in my tournaments sometimes, is like, people come to me an hour after they were supposed to tee off for a second round and they had no clue. And they're like, well, I didn't know. Well, you have to communicate with Tournament Central. It's very important. And when there's inclement weather, it's very important that you communicate with Tournament Central, because they will tell you when you're going to tee off. So make sure you do that. All right. Sorry, I had to get my dad voice out there for a sec.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if the weather gets that bad that there needs to be a stoppage of play, don't stop playing. We don't want anyone to get hurt. We don't want anyone to try and throw in a thunderstorm or when there's lightning or thunder, if that were to happen.
Right, but just to be clear, you can't stop playing until we tell you to stop playing.
So
that's a rule.
If you see thunder, if you see whatever, if you happen to be by Tournament Central, like, feel free to let an official know.
Definitely let us know.
But until you hear those 3 horn blasts, you keep playing.
Yeah.
But once you do, don't try and keep playing. We want everyone to be safe. Take shelter. Whether you think it's that bad or not. Yeah. And just be safe if it gets to that situation. I don't think we had mentioned this at all, and looking at the things we have left to talk about, I don't know that it necessarily fits in anywhere there. But
I'm your favorite dad. I'm your favorite parent.
That's not what I was gonna say.
What?
But oh boy. If at any time there is confusion about a rule, an OB, a Mando, whatever, I feel like our caddy guide is pretty clear. I feel like we've gone over things pretty well. But if at any point there is a rule discrepancy and the card cannot come to a serious decision, play a provisional. The last thing we would want to happen is the score gets put in wrong and then extra strokes need to be added when they don't have to. So if there is uncertainty about that, play a provisional, and then make sure you, before finalizing any scores, check with an official or a TD, Brian, Bill Geibel, myself, Eric, Nathan Johnson, any of those people. Make sure you check with them to see what the decision should be made, and then fix your score accordingly.
Yeah, so just taking what Kayla said one step further. Yeah, I mean, so card majority on decisions. If it's like something about inbounds or out of bounds, you know, that's like card majority. Like, y'all shouldn't be able to, like, y'all should be able to figure that out on your own. But if it's like a Mando, or you're not even sure about the course or a hole or whatever, and even if you're the only person that thinks you're right, you have the ability to play a provisional, whether your card thinks the opposite. Now, listen, I'm not talking about when a disc is in bounds or out of bounds, because if I come, you know, is a different story. But if you're not sure how to play something, or you're not sure how to play a hole, or if you're not sure if that was supposed to be OB or whatever, something like that, play a provisional. And your card, it's okay if your card thinks differently than you. That's okay. That's what a provisional's for. Yeah. Don't play a provisional if you're not sure, please. Players pack. We don't need to go to the players pack. I pretty much laid everything out. You're all going to see it tomorrow, so that'll just make this longer. We did get trophies for everybody. It also is pretty important for me. Each division has a trophy. There are 2 big hammers. Those will go to top female and top male performers in the tournament. There's one for each.
In a pool or? In
the A pool, yeah. I didn't necessarily think it was fair to make it all competitors, because some are playing golds and some are playing silver. So top male, top female competitors in A pool will play for the 2 big hammers. And then every division also plays for a hammer.
A lot of hand movement.
That is a lot of hammers.
No, I said a lot of hand movement. I'm swallowing in front of my face.
What else do we have? We have, there's going to be trophies for 2nd and 3rd place in the larger male divisions. Open, MA1, MA2, MA3, MA4. And Kayla, just because you're giving me that stank eye, the reason why we didn't do it in the female divisions is because most of the female divisions only had 4 competitors. So it seemed like perhaps it was a little bit overkill to give 3 of the 4 competitors trophies. Just so you know. Because I do try and look out for everybody. That's what the Norse Gods is all about. But
you could have done top 2.
We limited it to the divisions that have like 30 players in them, okay?
I see how it is. I understand. I get it.
Go through your own tournament.
I do.
All right, so what else do we have? Lunches. I'm going to grab the lunches so that they're as fresh as possible on Saturday and Sunday. So if you ordered one, I'm going to drop it off at each location. I will give it to the TD, or it'll be at Tournament Central when you're ready for your lunch. And I'll have a list of the players who should be getting them. Hoodies. Hopefully I'll have them tomorrow on Friday. If not, they will be delivered over the weekend somehow. There will be bag tags available if anybody would like to purchase one. Lancaster County Disc Golf Club bag tags. They're $10. They're pretty cool. Phoenix Discs made them for me, or for us. And half of the money goes to the club. And we do a lot of cool stuff, Lancaster County Disc Golf Club. And I'm trying to support them. So myself and Sean Conroy, we both helped the club pay for them. And it's important to us to, raise money for the club. And that's what the bag tag does. The bag tag is an easy way for you to get something and then also make a little donation to the club.
Yeah. It also makes casual rounds more fun, I feel. I mean, it is just a bag tag, but it feels nice to play for something, maybe have a reason to shoot better or something like that.
Yeah, and you look cool like you're a professional or something because you got a bag tag. Maybe not a professional,
I know.
But
I had number 5 there for a little bit. I felt all cool.
At least an advanced player. Heiser Media will be there filming MPO lead card. What?
All 4 rounds?
All 4 rounds, yes. Kevin Gleason's going to do the commentary with Dave Oster, which I'm pretty excited about. I think that plans to hit YouTube about a week after the tournament. So these guys are coming out from New Jersey. Let's try and make them feel welcome. I noticed in watching the coverage of some of the other stuff that, try not to walk in front of the camera. There might be a time or an instance where you could potentially, and try not to.
Well said.
So, let me just kind of give you a little breakdown on everything. So, Bill Geibel will be at Buckmiller, and he knows that course inside and out. And if you have any questions, talk to Bill, PDGA Rule Certified, okay?
Bill's not the tournament director, right? So ultimately, if there was a problem, I would have to settle it. But Bill knows what he's doing. And he knows that course really well. At Shiprock, Brian Bockington has, I think, if anybody thinks I throw a lot of tournaments, Brian Bockington throws tournaments.
Like
That guy has thrown
weekend.
so many tournaments, so many different what am the word I'm thinking of?
Like formats?
Yeah, formats and just like themes, like I'm going to give you socks for this tournament, or the women can all just pay $2 to play in this tournament, He does a bunch of weird stuff, and he does a bunch of cool stuff too. But the one thing I know about Brian is Brian 100% knows the rules. So Brian knows the rules very well, and I would say he's probably not super familiar with how we all play Shiprock, and that's where he's going to be. So when you're there, for the most part, Brian's going to take care of anything, and Brian knows the rules very well. And if there's anything Brian doesn't understand, he will ask Kayla or Nathan or myself to help him out and help him make a decision while he's there. But Brian's in charge there. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to say something to Kayla or Nathan. They're also going to be playing. So I wouldn't say something to them during their round. That is for Brian at Shiprock and Bill Geibel at Buckmiller. All right. So I just wanted to real quick before we're done here, I just want to say thank you to Dan Yost for doing trophies and just pretty much anything we throw on Dan, he gets it done, right? Doesn't really say anything and nobody knows about Dan Yost, but he is just as important as me, Kayla, or Nathan. We all work together as a team. I'd also like to say thank you to Josh. When I said I'm Kayla's favorite dad, she has 2 dads, me and Josh. And Josh helped print all the caddy guides, and he's going to help deliver a lot of the stuff that we need.
Got printed caddy guides.
Yes.
That's being all fancy.
Almost
and professional.
official. Almost official.
Yeah. So I will add in this real quick. In the part of your player pack that is pre-packed, everyone will have one of these printed caddy guides. You can also find it emailed, and there will be extras at check-in tomorrow.
And lastly, I'd like to say thanks to Emily Dale. She's going to help us put some whole sponsor signs out tomorrow. Has helped us put together some of the trophies that are going to be given out. I'd like to say thank you to Chad Martin. Chad also made 2 really cool trophies for the winners. And those trophies, by the way, it's not necessarily the MPO winner. If they're playing the same layout, I will have a trophy for the MPO winner, right? And you're still going to get paid your money. But if an MA1 player playing the same course beats you, he's getting the hammer, not you, just so you know. Same goes for FPO and FA1. The person who gets the hammer is the person who shoots the best. That's all I got. You got anything?
No. I do want to clarify, you will be moving back and forth between courses generally both days. So, it won't be definite whether you will be there at a certain time based on things that come up. You might be at one course, you might be at another.
Yeah, I'd like to think I'm like the glue that's going to try and hold the Norse Gods Championship together.
My.
That's my plan.
If that's even possible. It's going to be so busy.
All right.
Make it work.
If you watch that whole thing, bless your heart.
That's like 40 minutes
I know,
long.
40 minutes of us blabbing.
Oh my gosh, we had that much to talk about?